After a little bit over a year of marriage, Britney Spears and husband Sam Asghari are calling it quits, according to TMZ. Asghari was the one who filed for divorce on Wednesday, citing irreconcilable differences. The news broke after multiple outlets had already reported the pair split.
Hours after the news broke, the pop star posted a bizarre picture on Instagram with the caption reading, quote, "Buying a horse soon. So many options, it's kind of hard." The pair married last year after Britney was released from a 13-year-long conservatorship. In my understanding, Jessica, is that the conservatorship prevented them from getting married and also prevented Britney from having children. She claimed in court that she was forced to go on birth control so that she would not get pregnant. But I think it's clear at this point, and honestly should have been clear at the time that these documentaries were going around about the nature of the conservatorship, that while the conservatorship in the state that it was in was obviously unfair and unjust for Britney, she was not a fully well person. Her Instagram posts and captions to me seemed quite obviously of someone who was struggling in some way. She didn't sound like she did just a few years ago. She didn't sound like she did before she had her infamous 2008 breakdown. And now her captions and her the things that she posts on social media have only become more bizarre after she's been released from the conservatorship. And the breakdown of this marriage is perhaps just another sign that things are going south. I believe Sam Asghari both accused Britney of cheating and also accused her of attacking him in his sleep. So Britney, I don't think, is well, and somebody should step in and try to help.
Yeah, I think step in and try and help is the right way forward. It appears that since the genesis of the whole Britney Spears mental health crisis, there's been this approach of a lot of criticism of her by the media, by her family, lots of the judicial system getting involved in a direction that didn't seem to help improve her mental health whatsoever. But I think that was a sign of the times. We've seen a lot of advancements in how we think of mental health problems as a part of wanting people to be healthy, seeing it as a part of healthcare rather than this is a crazy person and we're not going to try and understand it and we're going to try and isolate them. There's been a lot of progress since Britney shaved her head and was seen in the media. I think it's a chicken or the egg situation. Was this a scenario where her early fame and her family's control over her fame drove her to that mental state? Or is it a scenario where this was Britney's mental health, it was pretty bad, and her family stepped in and tried to take control? We'll never really know, I think, the answer to that. And I think the reason people are so curious about it is because it's a fascinating case study for us to just learn about how much mental health has changed in our country over time and how we should handle family members that are struggling with a mental health crisis. Anyone looking at Britney's Instagram, I think, would call any of her Instagram posts weird. It's not unique that she posted this photo on the horse. Given the circumstances of the divorce, maybe it's weird, but it's just like any of her other posts with this long rambling caption and the kind of a photo that no other celebrity would post, that their PR firms would just melt if they saw what Britney was posting on Instagram, which I think suggests she doesn't have the support around her that she needs. And maybe her husband as well wasn't supportive of her either. I question anyone who was close to Britney who is letting her post what she's been posting on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. I know there's also been reports that her sons don't want to see her anymore. There was apparently a rift in that relationship when she first started posting after the end of her conservatorship because she was posting a lot of nude images and that embarrassed her sons. And I guess when they met with her, it didn't go well. And they also feel that she is not in her best state of mind. On the question of whether her mental health issues were caused by her child stardom or were simply, I guess, naturally occurring, for lack of a better term, I suspect it's probably a little bit of both. We see this often with child stars, particularly young women who are sexualized from a very young age. They have their finances controlled by their parents, yet otherwise are free to basically do whatever they want and behave as if they're adults, even though they're not. And it's really damaging for children to lose that innocence so soon and to be involved in these adult situations where they don't have the normal boundaries that a child growing up should have. People like Demi Lovato have struggled with mental health issues and substance abuse. People like Bella Thorne. I mean, so many of the kids that come out of Nickelodeon and Disney Channel or who have stardom from a young age end up going off the rails when they reach young adulthood because they simply don't know how to manage this massive change in their lives, in their age, in their bodies, because they've already been turned into adults by the media and by the industry and by the people who work with them. So Britney Spears, to me, is another sad example of this trend. I think we need to do more to protect children who go into the media industry and make sure that they're not being turned into adults before they're developmentally ready to do that.
Yeah, it's interesting in the country, we have a lot of strong sentiments about child labor laws, but don't extend those sentiments to child stars. We quite like seeing toddlers and young kids on television playing that role in a lot of family shows we've grown to love, but without really thinking too deeply the consequences of a child being on screen and on a set and having makeup put on their face at such a young age and being dressed in all kinds of outfits and getting that kind of attention, but just spending their waking hours laboring instead of learning about the world that they live in and going to school and socializing. The consequences are lifelong, apparently. And I think Britney Spears is just an example of that, sadly. But I think we'd all like to see a happy ending for Britney, especially people of my generation that grew up listening to her music, looking up to her as a person, and having this kind of shock. I remember still like seeing Britney Spears bald. But her going through a divorce now, is it a normal adult thing? Or is it a part of this larger problem we see with people who are thrust into fame, having a very public relationship and everyone paying very close attention to it, that ultimately leading to its demise? I think her posting that photo on a horse, talking about potentially buying a horse, I don't know, is it weird given that they just filed for divorce? Because it seems to me that a lot of the time, by the time folks file, especially if they're of celebrity status, they've already sorted it out with their lawyers and likely PR firms as well. So I don't know if we're going to see more interesting stuff come out of Britney Spears' life. I think we'd all like to see her happy, if that means with her family and with her husband or without. The wedding was attended by a lot of the celebrity friends that we saw her grow up with, which I think was really good to see. And the extent to which the conservatorship changed her life, I think we're all curious about. But is it good for her mental health to, divulge that for everyone and do a documentary on Netflix about it? No, I think a lot of us just want to see her fine and well and happy and want to see people leave Britney alone. So I hope the divorce isn't messy and I hope things are fine for Britney, but I still think people are going to extract all kinds of lessons about what it means for fame, child stardom, and mental health.
Yeah, I definitely feel that same sadness that you have in regards to seeing Britney struggle so much. The first cassette tape that I ever owned was the Baby One More Time album, and I would listen to it on repeat. I was a huge fan of hers up until adulthood when she basically stopped making music. And so it's hard. I mean, a lot of her fans want to see her recover. They want to see her doing shows again, doing music, because it seems like that's what she really loves. But in her current state, it doesn't seem that she has the capacity to work at that high level anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into being an entertainer, especially in America, where now with influencers, we expect to know every detail of people's lives. And it's concerning to think about what that means for that person. There are people who I think are good entertainers, who are funny, who make artistic points, who enjoy genuinely entertaining other people. And then I think there's this new cohort of influencers who want attention for the sake of having attention. And I think it's produced by the same phenomena that produced the obsession with Britney Spears. We become so obsessed with the people we see on screen all of the time. And human beings are naturally nosy and want to know about the goings on of other people's lives just in their town and in their community. So of course we project that same sentiment on the people we see on screen all of the time, only we don't actually know them. We don't know anything about them. And I think it would be healthier if we got to a place in society where the people that we get entertainment from don't also become the subject of our strange parasocial obsessions. But I think social media has made that much worse, and our insight into what Britney Spears is doing all the time has made that much worse for her as well.
Absolutely. We can sort of trace that line from paparazzi culture in the 2000s to our new obsession with following people on social media. It seems like social media has kind of replaced the tabloid magazines, where we think that these entertainers have power over their own stories and their own lives because they're sharing it willingly with us. But are they only doing that to fill this void that has been left from the paparazzi culture? We'll be back with more Rising after this.